and the second team was Mousesports. Right now I'm making content about Counter-Strike, but what most people don't know is that I have not watched that much pro Counter-Strike. First tournament I remember watching was the ESG Tour Mykonos 2017. Back then I was a 15-year-old boy playing Counter-Strike for a few years and only just noticed that there was pro gameplay. I might have seen a tournament before this, but this tournament was the first one I actually remembered, and it was just fun to watch. Besides the pro gameplay, the location also made for some great moments to watch. And when you start watching a competition, you want a team to cheer for. And that's kind of funny because you just pick a team and that is just your favorite team from that point on. And at this moment I didn't know what teams were good or bad. I knew some names and some organizations, but I did not really know who was good in Counter-Strike. I also knew some teams because of highlights I saw pass by, but that's about it. So I had to decide who I was cheering for, and I picked two teams. The first one was Virtus Pro, and that was just because when I saw them in the highlights I always liked what I saw. They looked like a fun team with some good players and it was just nice to watch. And the second team was Mousesports. Yes, you heard it right. I supported Mousesports. Keep in mind this was 2017, and the main reason I supported them was because the biggest and only Dutch player at that point played for them. Of course I want to support someone from my country, because if you don't know, I am Dutch, so I just want to support someone from my country. Besides that, they also had some nice players to watch like Stico and Robs, and at this Mykonos tournament they actually managed to beat Team Liquid and to win the whole tournament. I took a look back at the tournaments before this one and I still have some vague memories about some tournaments. I know I watched some games of it, but I don't really remember anything else. I knew Nico played for Mouse and I knew I was watching some Mouse games at that point. And I also knew I was watching Optic Gaming when they were still a thing. But the Mykonos tournament was just really the first tournament I still remember to this day. I also followed some tournaments after, like E-League Premier 2017, and at that point I also started cheering for FaZe. I was never really a diehard fan of any team. I just looked at the matches being played and just picked whoever I wanted to win between them. And I just remember picking FaZe a lot of the time, and they were on a kind of winning streak at that point. They performed well in most tournaments and winning a lot together with SK Gaming, which I was kind of hate watching because most of the times it was between them and FaZe and I just wanted FaZe to win. So I also have some fake memories about that, but I just knew I kind of hated watching SK Gaming because they started to win a lot and it was against FaZe, so yeah. The first major I watched was the E-League Boston major that took place at the start of 2018, and at that point I was still supporting FaZe, Mousesports and Virtus Pro, and the underdogs of that major were Cloud9. I knew the organization and of course I've heard about Shroud and Stewie2K just by their highlights alone, but I did not really care about them since Shroud left. Two of the teams I supported met in the quarterfinals, with FaZe winning that series and making a run into the final. Even though I supported FaZe, it was still one of the best games I ever watched. A crazy best of 3 with multiple overtimes, and in the end it was Cloud9 to win their first major. It was just a cinema match which I will never forget. After that I still sometimes watch some tournaments, mostly just majors, and I kind of got bored because that was the moment Astralis started dominating, and I was not really an Astralis fan. Towards the end of 2018, I stopped watching Counter-Strike at all. Not only because of the Astralis era, but also a lot of things in my life changed. A lot of things happened in my life and I could not be bothered to watch or even play Counter-Strike. A few years later, COVID happened and I took a long break from Counter-Strike until 2023, when CS2 got launched.
Oh my god!
That was the moment for me to start playing again every now and then. I was not really back at the game and I did not watch any pro CS at that point. I sometimes tried to watch it, but the teams I cheered for had all fallen apart and I was just not that interested anymore. And I only started watching Counter-Strike pro scene again in the summer of 2025. At that point I saw some clips of a streamer named OnePixel and he had some viral clips where he was attending the Austin Major, and I really liked what I saw. And when I watched his streams later on, he was often co-streaming the matches, which for me was a great way to get back into watching Pro Counter-Strike. Watching Pro Counter-Strike with a guy that is just as bad in CS as me was just a nice thing to have. Since that, I watched almost every tournament, and don't worry, I'm not a Mouse fan anymore. I think I was just a fan of the roster, because I really liked watching people like Rob, Stico, Chris J, Nico, and a lot of people that played for Mouse. But in 2025, I did not like what I saw at Mouse, so I just didn't support them anymore. The teams I support now are Na'Vi, sometimes Vitality, depends on my mood, FaZe, sometimes Falcons, also depends on my mood, and I also only support the team, not really the organization. And recently I like watching Bait, but still I often look at the matchups and just decide who I'm cheering for at the start of the match. Like I said, I missed a lot of Counter-Strike Pro matches and tournaments. Of course, I was looking back at the transfer moves and looked at like how the fuck Robs went from Mouse to Vitality, and I look back at what happened to all my favorite teams. But I did not really watch any tournaments from back then. So my question for you is, what games or tournaments that I have missed between 2018 and the summer of 2025 are worth to watch back? I'm really curious what your favorite tournaments were, and if it's worth to watch back, because I'm not gonna watch all of it back, so I need your help for this. So let me know in the comments what tournament I should watch back, or just what matchup I should watch back, and I'll make sure to do that. Thank you for watching this video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you at the next video.